Hey guys, I thought it would be fun to share with you something that I'm moving through in real time. And it's this feeling of shame that's coming up from my last video. A lot of times the videos I shoot, they're like a breadcrumb trail, because I'll make a video and then me sharing what I share, it'll bring something else up for me, and then I really want to talk about that with you guys. And so when I'm sharing, what I'm doing is I'm clearing my energy field. I'm clearing my vessel, because I'm sharing what I'm kind of chewing on and what's real for me. And I'm just kind of moving it through. And because I move it through, then more can come in, and then I get excited about the next batch of information that comes in, and I want to share that with you guys, or the next layer of shadow I'm digesting. I get like inspired once I've sat with it long enough. I get very excited to share with you what I'm learning and my discoveries. And so, yeah, I shot this morning's video, and I had some shame come up about it, because at one point I said something like, I am God, you know? And it's interesting. I didn't think too much of it at the time, because I get in these pretty flowy channeled states, and I'm really just letting my higher self talk through me. And sometimes what I say triggers me too. I'm realizing, like, my higher self will say things through me, and it'll trigger an emotional or an energetic reaction in me. And so I was feeling all of this shame about saying I am God, and it was interesting to be with. And initially there was this really shameful part that came up and said, oh my gosh, we have to delete the video. How dare we say that? And I have it structured in my day where I meditate twice a day for 1 hour at a time. So I decided just to be with it for an hour in my meditation. And what I noticed was, and this is a pattern, and I think this might be relatable for a lot of you guys, is that when I start stepping into more of my power and start claiming my divinity, claiming my oneness with God, my oneness with Source, I will feel like this old conditioning, this old church conditioning, this old religious conditioning rooted in fear kind of come up. And it will make me kind of feel bad and wrong, like, how dare you know yourself, like, how dare you have a sense of self-worth, and it's like we've been so conditioned to feel small and to be small and to not claim our power, that when we're reclaiming our power, we can start to feel like this sense of shame come up, this sense of, how dare I? A lot of times, so many of us came into this world so bright and so with so much presence that other people told us, like, you're just too much. And I've even had that a little bit come up, not as much, where, like, I'm posting so frequently now. Every now and then there's this little skeptical inner critic part saying, don't you think you're going to be too much for people posting so much, But I just trust the felt sense knowing in my body of what's true, of what's occurring within me. And I've noticed the more that I step into my power, the less I look towards the external for any type of validation or approval or permission to keep stepping into my power, right? Some of my videos, a lot of people like them and they get good views, and some of them, they're not as seen, and I don't get as validated. And I'm starting to realize, more and more, the true reward is just about being in your power, and the results are, who knows what the results are going to be. But they're not up to you. And if you truly want to be free, you have to let go of living in results. If you truly want to be this conduit for the divine, sometimes you might say things that trigger yourself. And sometimes when you're stepping into your power, when you're starting to embody being a divine conduit more, you're gonna like walk right into some of the shame that you have in your body about being big, about being powerful, about saying what you really feel, A lot of us, we were just fed these beliefs rooted in separation, that God is something separate from us, that God's gonna punish us, that God is to be feared. And that's all bullshit. I can feel this dragon in me coming up, and when it just wants to say that's bullshit. You know, I'm getting chills. It's just like, that's fucking bullshit. Just feels so good to own that, you know? All that shit, it's just lies and deception to control you, to control people. And I'm so tired of staying small because of some stupid ass religious doctrines and dogma that were meant to instill fear in me, you know? It's like, fuck that. Just like letting that inner dragon come up there. It just feels so good to move that energy about that, because some anger is very righteous. You know, we've been so stripped of our power, you know, we've been so convinced that we're separate from God. But when you start to feel so many chills, when you start to feel in your body that you are one with God, there's no belief, there's nothing you can read, there's nothing you can be fed that can convince you otherwise. Because oneness with God, it transcends belief. It's not even a belief, it's a knowing in your DNA. It's a knowing deep in your soul, in your inner being. And it transcends anything that you will hear from someone else, that you'll read in a text. It's so much bigger than all of that. It's so much more true than all of that. The truth can only be found within you. No one can tell you your truth. You can only find it inside your own heart, inside your own being. And yeah, I just had so much shame about speaking that truth, that I am God, that we are all God, that everything around me is God. This is all an extension of source energy. This all comes from the same creator. And we are that. You are that. And it just feels so good to take a stand for that truth, to no longer hide from that truth. Like today, I felt so much shame. I just wanted to hide. And that's what shame can convince us to do, to stay small. And that's what that old programming can convince us to do, is to stay small and to not claim our divinity. But right now is the time to claim our divinity. For this world to truly change and evolve, every single one of us needs to claim our divinity and needs to stand in what we know is true. That's how things will fully change for the better here on earth. All right, sending you all so much love. The family's home. I'm gonna go hang out with them. Namaste.